well, where do I begin? I'm not natural at blogging. Don't normally do it. I suppose I've got to this stage from well, the experience of having received all these letters and threats and God knows what from one source or another. Where do I start? My story started, I was once a social worker. Well, I came from a council estate. I worked hard, went through university because I had a baby and I wasn't getting anywhere, so anyway I went to university and worked to be a social worker with the intention to help others help themselves. When I got into the job, however, it just seemed to be the most disheartening role I think I've ever played in my life. There was just too much washing over. It seemed that everything came down to budgets. That's not how you help people as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, needless to say, the burnout and the caseload and the internal turmoil that I was going through, if you like, the conflict, led me to a breakdown. I ended up in hospital. I was a bit suicidal for a while. Was hurting myself a lot. My son ended up having to go and stay with his father for a while. Things got pretty desperate, and I was ignoring all mail, all calls. I'd isolated myself completely. In this time, obviously a lot of debts had accumulated. I wasn't being paid a full wage, and eventually I was told I could claim ESA. So I went and tried to claim employment support allowance. I found the whole process extremely difficult. I wasn't really in a good frame of mind, and the paperwork is incredible. So eventually I ended up with the Citizens Advice Bureau because the South Essex Homes were threatening to kick me out of the property, and due to rent arrears. So I ended up being put in touch with Citizens Advice, if you can call them that. To be honest, I found the whole experience a little bit oppressive. The lady treated me as though I was just a bit scum, even though she was supposed to be my representative, which I found quite difficult to deal with. And not knowing what I've learned since, I ended up going to court, and through Citizens Advice I went to court regarding the housing, and I applied for my employment support allowance. The court I ended up having to make a payment plan with, and I incurred a large charge as well for the whole process. I think that was a couple of £300 charge for the court process. I mean, I was only in and out 5 minutes, so how it incurred that kind of cost is incredible. And really, in hindsight, I should have wrote to them and asked for a breakdown of them costs. However, you live and learn. Well, since anyway, I was talking about the employment support allowance. So the employment support allowance, I applied for it. They were asking for all kinds of evidence, so which was really tricky to get hold of because my workplace had all of my work doctor certificate, all of my sick certificates from the doctor. So I had to supply. Everyone wants the originals, which is ridiculous. You only ever have one original. So eventually the doctor ended up charging me for duplicates. And anyhow, they said they hadn't had them. There was a whole kerfuffle. Eventually I gave up. They said I wasn't entitled to it because I eventually had a fit certificate because I intended to go back to work. So I only got paid 1 week's worth, and they told me that I wasn't entitled to it anymore. Anyhow, long story short, I returned to work, not as a social worker. I was redeployed into a different role, a much more serving role as a librarian. So off I am now as a librarian, enjoying my little role. It's a part-time job. There's no, I speak with elderly people, I try to cheer up their day. It's a very quiet community, and there's mostly my clientele for the library is of the older generation or the really little generation. So it's a really great job and I'm enjoying it. But it's still working for the council, and anyhow, getting back to the ESA. So I'm working as a little librarian, enjoying my role, and I get told that from my previous role, while I was off on sick leave, I managed to build up quite a lot of sick leave. So they told me that I would be expecting a bit of a payout, which I thought, well, great, that's nice. I can sort myself out a little bit. There's so much that me and my son need. It's incredible. Anyhow, I went to the bank one day, there was a huge lump sum there. I thought, rah, great, thank God for that, finally some money. I went and bought us a brand new wardrobe each, you know, sorted some stuff out that needed sorting. Anyhow, I then find a letter from the employment support allowance. I mean, they told me that I wasn't getting employment support allowance. This was about 3 months ago. So I haven't heard anything for 3 months, and why should I hear anything? I'm not claiming it. So anyway, I get this letter saying that they've they've re-looked at the claim, and they've decided that I don't need to attend an assessment, and that they're going to provide me with the money, but I am to join some kind of back to work support thing, whatever. To be honest, I didn't really pay the letter much mind, and I've probably still got it lurking about somewhere. I should dig it out. But yeah, so I just ignored this letter. I didn't really pay it any mind, and then it dawned on me about a week or two later, hold on a minute, I better check with my bank to see whose money that was that got paid in, who paid the money in. So off I went to the bank to find out that the ESA had paid £3,000 into my account, almost, just shy of. I haven't got a penny of that left, and even if I did have it left, I would find that very difficult to give away because I'm in such a difficult situation financially. Anyhow, that lump sum had arrived at around the same time as my as my sick leave money, which was roughly the same amount. So unbeknown to me, I thought I'd incurred quite a lot of sick leave, and it turned out it wasn't. It was part of the ESA and part sick leave. So I phoned them to let them know of their error, and the fact that they'd already written to me 3 months ago to tell me that that I wasn't entitled to employment support allowance because I had provided them with a fit for work certificate, and so that I could negotiate my return to work. Anyhow, when I was talking to them, she'd said that they'd never received any such notification, and they haven't got anything on their systems, yet they didn't pay me for 3 months. They completely ignored me for 3 months. So how they thought I was surviving for them 3 months, which I must say was incredibly difficult, I am sick to death of beans. If I see another tin of beans, I'll scream. And like, let's just say, me and my son had a lot of hungry moments. So anyway, then she tells me on the phone that I haven't notified them of my return to work. So I pointed out that as I wasn't claiming employment support allowance, there's no obligation for me to let them know that I'm returning to work, because they're not giving me any money. There is no claim, and that they've paid me this money in error. Well, she told me that she would have to look into it and get someone to call me back, and that I'd have to remain indoors for the next 3 hours. As it turned out, I had to go to work, because obviously I've returned to work. So I'm yet to phone them back to speak to them about it, because it's, you know, I don't want them trying to leap on me for fraud when the money was taken or given in error by them and then spent in error by me. You know, what are you going to do about that? It's done. Anyhow, I've been on the Get Out of Debt Free website today. I've been doing a little bit of searching, and there is a case law out there apparently, and you've got to check out Get Out of Debt Free. You know, I'm not being told to advertise that site at all. It's just on my personal back. It is a great website, and if you need any information, you know, the fee, some people are moaning about the fee, is £7. I mean, we could all save £7 to free ourselves and save our lives ultimately. I don't think that they're really asking for a great deal, and it's a £7 one-off payment. You know, I mean, even in my tightest of times, I would have still managed to have found that £7 payment. It's just unfortunate, well, or fortunate, should I say, that I came across it once I'd already sorted my life out, in the sense of going back to work and getting a bit more of an income. Anyhow, on their website there is such thing as, there's mention of such a case law whereby somebody had been overpaid an amount in error, and although it was received in error, that it was adjudicated, I think that's the right word, that the debt was, you know, it was void. I mean, they just have to swallow it basically, and so that's the road I think I'll go down. I mean, I didn't ask for the money, I didn't expect the money. Well, I did try to ask for the money, they refused to give it to me. So then I accepted I wasn't getting the money. Then they tried to give me the money, and now it seems that I may well be going down an allegation of fraud. Not that they've really accused me of that yet, but I can see that I'm going to have to cover my back on this one. So, that's one thing. ESA, yeah, be warned, be warned. But the thing that really bothers me is this ESA thing, this ESA payout, only occurred once I refused to pay council tax. Well, I've not really refused, I've not really responded, so they haven't had anything from me at all. They started requesting council tax, and apparently I was supposed to be paying a top-up while I was out of work. I didn't realise I was supposed to be paying a top-up. I do receive housing benefit and council tax benefit, and I thought that that covered it all. I mean, how can you ask for a top-up out of somebody's money? I mean, I weren't even claiming employment support allowance, so I don't see how. I mean, I was already living below the minimum. How can I pay anything as a top-up? So I ignored them. I thought, if you want your top-up, come and get it. Really, try me. So I ignored them, and they wrote a few times with some threatening letters to take me to court, and I ended up with some fake court summons that didn't even have a wet signature on it. I ignored that as well. To me, it's just junk mail. Anyway, I think, I mean, I can't be dead certain because I didn't open the letter. I wasn't going to be foolish enough to open it. But shortly following the the council's summons, they sent me some kind of liability or enforcement letter, whatever it was. And where was I? They were going to, oh yeah, they sent me the enforcement letter, and then, so obviously I ignored that, I went to the junk mail pile, and so then I get a letter, and I mean, I get a lot from Moorcraft. That's another battle altogether. But I get a lot from Moorcraft, but I can recognise their return address, so it doesn't matter what colour envelope, what different shape and platform they put it on. They can dress it in a frilly petticoat for all I care. It doesn't matter, I can recognise the return address, so I don't, you know, straight away stick a label on it and send it back. And I'll show you my labels. I sort of pre-done them, if you like, just to make it a bit easier. But hopefully you can pick that up. It says, no contract, return to sender, and that's all it is. I'll just stick that on it and I'll send it back. Anyway, that's what I do with the Moorcroft. So when I got another one, and it looked quite official. It had the clear plain window, except the address, my name and address wasn't in capitals, which is a bit strange. So anyway, I fiddled about, I held it up, I creased it a little. Eventually I could see through the pane, and it had something written in on a big black stripe, if you like. Written on it had debt recovery. So I thought, okay, great. Well, I'm not opening that either. It's obviously from the council. Well, I'm assuming it's from the council. So again, slapped the label on it, gave it back to him, not interested. But that's shortly after doing that was when all this money arrived. I mean, I wouldn't want to become paranoid, but I can't help wondering if there is a connection there. I don't know. Anyway, I also, not only do I work for the council, I'm refusing to pay council tax. I'm receiving benefits, housing benefit and council tax benefit. And child tax credits. I've informed both, by the way, that I've returned to work, and both assumed that I was getting employment support allowance, which again is strange. And I did receive a letter telling me of their the fact that I'm not entitled to the claim of ESA, so that's to be dug out. I have a lot of piles of letters at the moment. I've really got to get a bit more organised. Yeah, so not only am I working for the council, living in the council flat, claiming benefits, I'm living, the council flat that I'm living in is owned by the housing association. Well, or at least so one would think. I'm not quite sure. I've got to do a lot of research into this. I've just started, and I found that the housing association, South Essex Homes, is in partnership with Thames South Essex, and they're both limited companies, which would suggest they're private. Now, I've also learned that my local authority, Southend Borough Council, is a company as well. That's also on the Company House website. Check it out. Very informative. Well, an eye-opener, should we say. Anyway, so I'm now wondering where I would stand on the principle of, now hear my theory out, if the people, or if the government, is there to provide for the people, and the people provide the funds for the government to provide the services and the resources, then surely the people own the government, in a respect. They're providing a function for us. Therefore, the people are paying already into that function, right? And I have, up until recently, paid my council tax. I've been a contributor to society, and although I'm begrudging it a bit now because of all the corruption, I won't deny it. I'm not begrudging paying it. I'm just begrudging the fact that they have no means of proving that I'm obliged to pay it, for a start, and I'm against the fact that what I'm paying for, I'm clearly not getting. I'm not getting a service standard. It's a bit like if I employed a cleaner to clean my entire flat and all she done was my toilet, I would end up sacking her. I would get a different cleaner. You know, and I might not have a cleaner for a while. I might have to do all the work myself until I get a new cleaner. But you know, you're not going to get a better cleaner if you don't get rid of the shit one. So, anyway, my point, I'm going to get to my point, my theory. So my theory is then, if the people own the government and the resources, then there you go, I already own this flat. Where would I stand with that? What if I stop paying rent and I stake ownership on this flat? It's a bit like, I suppose, my way of looking at it is, if there was a shoreline filled of loads of caves, of where cavemen would live and move and transit, whatever. If I found an empty cave and I went and moved into that cave, if another caveman come along and tried to kick me out of my cave, I'd say, get lost. Get lost. If I beat her, get lost. My cave, I was here first. So, where would I stand with that? This is the people's cave. I'm in my cave, it's now my cave. I paid contributions towards the resources, so I'm entitled just as much as anybody else is entitled to social housing. And now I'm here. Why do I have to pay for a flat that I already own? If you've got any answers to these questions or any suggestions of how I move forward from this, like I say, I'm still doing some research around this, but I'm wondering how far down the deep oh, how deep, sorry, the rabbit hole goes. And I'm prepared to go to prison if that's what it takes. You know, I think that we're only going to get a movement if each and every one of us stand up and be counted for. Personally, I am a bit of a one-man band. I live in here alone with my son. I have no other contacts of this nature at all. My family think that I'm going a bit barking again. They're worried that I'm going to end up back in hospital, or in their terms worse, prison. You know, I've been trying to put their mind at ease and letting them know that I can't be locked up for life for this, and that they've got to stop worrying. I mean, cross my, you get just as much privilege in a prison cell as I do in my flat. I don't even know why I'm worried. You know, it doesn't, why they're worried about it. I'm not bothered. I spent time in a mental hospital. If you want to know what it's like to have your rights revoked, you need to go into a mental hospital and experience that. That is something else. A prison is not even going to be close to that. I'm quite happy to go to prison for my beliefs. In fact, it will give me a break. At least I can get some time off work. I could do some research and I'll teach people from the inside. And, you know, really, I'm going to be a difficult person to beat down. You just got to keep smiling and spreading the love, haven't you, and the message. And yeah, if anyone does have any information or suggestions or contacts maybe that they can point me in the direction of, please do leave comments. It's always nice to know that I'm not alone. Anyway, good luck with your guys' little ventures, and hopefully I'll blog again soon. Speak later.